Good morning, everybody. Hold on, I'm going to turn my fan down, numb, so it doesn't. Can you hear that? Is it here? Can you guys hear the fan in the background?
I cannot. Welcome. We're live.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. Hey, everybody.
Why?
It says
Why
we're
is everything
live.
so messed up this morning? It's Monday.
That's why it's Monday.
I had everything set up an hour before the show. I was running extra tests, and then as the show starts, everything goes wrong. Welcome, Adam. Welcome.
And hello, Adam.
Vash, if you're still there, we're live. Oh, I didn't know if you saw the tweet, what was going on. I sent you a message and blah, blah, blah. But we got you here, so let me click this thing right there. Look at that. Make you appear. Now, I'm trying something new for the guests. Trez,
cool.
How are we doing today? It is so nice to see you. It has been a while. I miss you. I need to be more active, so I don't expect anything from anybody if I'm not giving anything worth giving. So, on your end, you can now see through the Hangout what you would normally see from the watch screen. How do you like that?
That looks pretty good.
All right. I'm going to try and be a little more active, guys. What I'm going to do is I have a few jobs coming up, and I'm scheduling them for specific days and times. I'm going to adjust my shows. I have a few ideas. I've been working on stuff in the background when I'm at my computer. I have a new Great Debate logo I'm working on. I'm not happy with it yet, so I'm not releasing it yet. I have a new intro I've been tinkering with. And I have some new transition stuff that I'm working on, as well as some other add-ons, but nothing is ready because I kind of tinker with it for a few minutes here and there. Lately I've been tinkering with the ability I now have to take the show to other channels. So if anybody else would like me to bring the show to them for a question or two, or however, I can adjust the settings and away I go with it.
I would like to have you on sometime to interview you, NumbedSkull, if you'd care to.
I'm gonna unfortunately have to put you in line. I have a person who would like me on their show, and I'm trying to make time.
Oh, no hurries. I'm pretty scheduled at the moment, so I'm just saying sometime in the future.
Okay, no problem. I'd love to. The weather's so nice outside. How can you not enjoy some of it? Plus, I could use the time to earn a few extra bucks. None of the actual companies are hiring me because of all the shit I gotta go through, and when you have to fill out why did you leave your last job policy violation, and then they let that go. Okay.
Preaching to the choir, buddy. Preaching to the choir.
So I work my ass off to do beautiful jobs for people, and they pay me well for it. I don't go by hourly, although this job I do have to do an estimate.
What kind of work do you do? I do I guess like you could say a freelance landscaper / construction worker.
Mole, here's something dumb and my neighbor presented this to me as a thought to think about. I can go more into detail later. I'm one of those people, if you have a job to be done. Morning, Daryl. I don't know how I missed you. If you have a job to be done, it kind of doesn't matter what it is. I'll tell you if it's over my head and you should hire a professional, because that's at the point where I either don't have the tools or don't have the experience or even the possible knowledge on how to do it.
Well, at least you're honest about it. Some people won't even say that, you know. They try to do the job and then they fuck it up, you know what I mean?
Well, the one I'm about to pick up, I think I'm going to take the job, except she wants fake grass installed. I think I'm going to look at her on that and tell her to have a company come in, measure, figure out how to do it best, because I don't know how to install fake grass, and just looking into it, it looks like the minor little screw-up will, over time, look really bad. So I've got to build a sandbox, a slide, fix a porch, put some lattice board up, drain a pool, take the pool apart. It's a hard stand frame pool, and then I gotta put it back together on another property. Yay!
Sounds like fun.
A few $100 in my pocket, no problem. Now, on my end, there's all sorts of stuff I gotta do over here, and I'm not sure where I put everything. I lost my game. There it is! Loading.
Welcome to the Great Debate.
Now, I'm slowly working on getting my system straightened out and cleaned up and rid of programs, so it's starting to run a little smoother. But we do have to talk about something on the show. These hour-long shows would be boring if they didn't have a reason to go on. And the reason this show goes on is to maybe mundanely talk about mundanely talk about some of these topics. And Mole, you've been with me before, so why don't we just get the show going?
Okay, we'll start with easy since, obviously, let's go to movies.
Movies. Should movie industries copy sequence lineups for movie releases? Okay, so sequence lineups. Lately, we're seeing this in an industry, and it's working and not working depending on where you see it. But we're seeing them try to build up to bigger themes to draw in an audience. And to me, it seems sometimes, and I'm one of those that waits till the season ends and watches it all at once. But sometimes it seems like building up to a sequence just makes you not as interested to always catch the lead-up movies until it gets to where you're building to. What do you think?
I really don't have an opinion on this subject, to be honest with you. Can you word it a different way? What do you mean by should they copy sequence lines for movie release?
I forget what stream I was on, but it was noting how Disney is trying to copy the Marvel lineup for the universe. They're trying to structure their movie lineups to sort of interrelate into a larger group. And then they commented how Star Wars has gone from here's a few movies evenly spaced to here is this offshoot that kind of relates to that offshoot that kind of is going to relate back to the movie when it gets released. And they're trying to build this cinematic universe or this sequence lineup for people to draw interest into what they're building to, into this massive conglomeration of all of these characters coalescing. And it almost makes you seem like some movies were just thrown in there just so that you would kind of know who the character was, but there was no point in the movie, so why would you go see it? Is this a good idea? Or are they doing it and doing it wrong? Or do they need to come up with something similar but on their own galaxy?
I think that if they're going to, I mean, I know that Disney's pretty much bought out everybody, and the Marvel Universe is doing. I think if they're going to do what they're doing is pretty much making every movie so that so it can be followed by a sequel, and like they're trying to build a universe. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
They need to do better backstories if they're gonna like superhero movies, for instance. Like, not everybody's a superhero nerd like I am, so they don't already know the backstory. So there's no context for a lot of these people. They don't really understand what's going on. So I think they need to, instead of just pumping out movies, they should work more on explaining who the character is and working in a better way. I guess
Now,
that's
I've kind of seen it. I stopped watching them, but Netflix does all those Marvel shows. And
yeah, and they at first they were cool, but now they're just fucking putting out trash. I mean,
but I
they're
did
not even following.
I
Well, they're
did
not
like how
following
they
canon.
connected them.
They did do a good job connecting them, but they're still I think that they're drifting away from canon, and that is a big no for purists like myself.
Okay, but at some point, they're the movies. Oh, let me not ignore this. If characters are going to exist under universe, I would say yes, but force throwing characters together because they are out of ideas, no. Jason Goes to Hell ends with Freddy grabbing Jason mask, but Freddy vs. Jason was crap film. They're getting a little crazy with film ideas, trying to try new things. But they're not necessarily building from what they've done. If you're going to create a universe, the universe or the sequence needs to understand what's going on only in the parts where it relates. Freddy and Jason never related, and one is while you're awake and one is while you're asleep. And it's been a while since I've watched that in Jason X. I have it on DVD here somewhere, Freddy vs. Jason. I've got a lot of DVDs. It was kind of a crap movie. I felt like it was too forced to try and create a movie or try and create an audience to come see it. And that's what I'm saying is,
yeah,
you can't steal another idea and make it work necessarily.
It's partly laziness and partly they're trying to draw in bigger crowds, like you said, by mixing two well-loved movie franchises by trying to combine them together. While it might be a good idea, they don't work together.
Right, and that's basically sort of what Star Wars is trying to do. They're trying to combine two well-loved things. They're trying to combine a comic universe premise with a loved star galaxy exploration, annihilation, whatever premise. They're trying to combine two different ideas to improve upon one, when maybe you just need to go back to the beginning of that idea and decide how to decide what you want a long-term outcome to be, and then you build to that outcome.
Right. Adam K in the chat said some things go well together, other things don't, which is absolutely right.
Absolutely.
But like with the superhero thing, I said, like, they're throwing superheroes together, and if people don't understand the backstory or how they go together, if they don't follow canon, it ruins it for a lot of people because there's no context for it, and it kind of ruins it for people.
All right, let me explain that. I know the time's up, but let's go into this. I think that DC screwed up with Batman versus Superman. Because no matter which one you're a fan of, the outcome was lacking. And then, in the very next movie in the sequence, the first thing they talk about doing was, well, it was a mistake, we have to bring him back. The problem became, once you bring Superman back, him against the other 4 or 5 of them wasn't even a fucking match.
Right.
What the hell is the point of having the rest of you around once you resurrect him? You all might as well fucking go home. Why? You screwed it all up from there.
Yeah. Like, the thing I don't like about like for instance Justice League is that they mixed a few storylines together to make one movie, which fucking infuriates me because I hate when they, like I said, I hate when they go away from canon.
Not just that, but again, the worst problem with that whole movie was it stated right out that all of them without Superman could not defeat the enemy, but with Superman, None of the rest of them were really needed. Oh, here's the Flash pushing a car full of people out of the way. Oh, here's Superman moving a building full of people. Oh, here's Batman and Aquaman and Cyborg and Wonder Woman all fighting this fucker with horns. Oh, here comes Superman and tosses him around like a fucking beanbag.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. At least put these other people somewhere near the power of Superman so they together could have equaled his power and then go, okay, but we needed his help because we felt like we were outmatched. And then when Superman comes in, actually make it a fight, not Superman tossing him around for fun.
Right.
And that's what it seemed like, is when Superman wasn't saving somebody else because civilians first, he was just tossing him around like a rag doll. And that made the whole movie seem worthless.
Right. I agree with Trey. I just want to mention one thing about what Trey Silverwolf said, is that Marvel did screw up a little bit, but I have to say that Marvel makes much better live action movies than DC does. DC really needs to up their game on their live action movies. Really needs to up their game. They're so far behind Marvel, it is funny. Now, if you want to talk about animated movies, DC is fucking awesome.
Oh,
but
yeah.
when it comes to live action movies, they're fucking horrible. Fucking horrible.
But in the animated ones, they give Superman power, but they try to somewhat bring the other heroes almost to his power so that with enough of them together, they kind of could do without. When you make it where everything rides on one superhero, you've just taken away the whole rest of the story. But we really might want to move to the next topic. We're
all right, no problem. Let's go with what the fuck or fuck the world.
I absolutely agree with fuck the world. If technology allowed men to have children, should they?
You mean like actually carry the children?
I mean physically, if men could have the children. If it no longer became the dichotomy of men inseminating women and women bearing children, and became... if it worked either way, should men carry children? Trez says, absolutely, yes, so I can quit. I
would say... I vote no on that because I don't think men have the correct hormones in their body to bond with the child, which is needed. Okay, well, if that's fixable, then yes, that'd be cool. But if not, I don't think men are capable of bonding with the child the same way a woman is.
But is that based on the fact that we don't hold them for 9 months creating them? Now, you have to admit, or maybe not admit, doesn't matter, that you have some respect for a woman because she goes through something that you don't, and you don't quite understand.
Right.
And at the same time, that gender dichotomy means that men will risk more to bring home what's needed to take care of the family.
Right.
And that's why we take more strenuous jobs, more hours and things like that. That's the hardship we put ourselves through to take care of family.
Well, men are more...
Should they? You have male couples, you have female couples. If we could find ways for technology to allow any couple to have a child within themselves based on technology, should this be something we do? Would it be sexist or genderist or childish? What the fuck would it even be called if we could do this and not allow it?
I don't know. Like I said, men, I mean, our brains are wired differently. Men are natural or more apt to take risks that women aren't. So I just don't think men are are mentally capable of the whole childbirth thing. That's what it boils down to for me, is the mental thing. I'm
You
not
know,
saying that men wouldn't make good fathers. I'm just saying that, like, women are more apt to be more careful, while men will take risks that might put the baby's life in danger that a woman wouldn't do. Just my opinion, obviously,
that
but
may be true. However, is it knowledge and those hormones and things in growing up that would produce that feeling? If a man were to have the hormones, be able to gestate children, grow children, whatever you want to call it, we're not being scientific here.
right,
If he was allowed to bear the child, and the hormones that came with it would obviously change the way he reacted, and would he take risks? Wouldn't he change for the need of what his body was doing along with the chemicals and everything? This is a weird topic to have, but we're kind of about getting there between technology and trans life,
right.
whatever. I'm trying to look at the socio outcome. Yeah, this is defined as a what the fuck. That's why the category is there. Should men bear children, or should it be left for women? And if it is left for women, isn't that sexist to say, well, because we can, why shouldn't we treat equally? Well, the man carries the second one, the woman carries the first one. They take turns, something like that.
Yeah, I like how I like a comment Tress Everwolf made about, wouldn't we increase men's depression by increasing feminine hormones? Now, are you talking about like normal men being able to carry babies, or people that have transitioned having the babies because they're already having the HCR replacement, like the hormone replacement therapy?
Now,
Now, in that case, then I think it would be okay. I think it'd be wonderful if they could figure out a way so that could make them feel more like more like the woman they feel like they already are. That'd be wonderful. But, like, I mean, like, your average Bob working in a garage carrying a baby would be a little weird. You know what I
yeah, I
mean?
agree. That would be weird. So let's say it is trans. Let's say we develop the technology where somebody can completely transition. And then would this even be the argument if they transitioned from male to female and then had the hormones, the chemicals, the body features, and were able to bear children? Wouldn't they then be a female?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
that makes this a really weird conversation to have. Is this
Well,
something better?
that's
Yeah.
that's almost like saying what actually constitute what a woman is, and what actually constitute what a man is. I mean, like, I respect transgender people, so if they're in the process of transition, then I will respect them and call them a woman. But biologically, are they a woman yet? I mean, there's a fine line. So, um, that would it would make it would make it more definitive. That's for sure. It would be. I mean, it would make it easier to define what a man and what a woman is. I mean, like I said, I respect trans people. If a woman says she's a woman, she's a woman. But I mean,
Yeah.
if she hasn't transitioned fully, then she's technically still biologically partly a man. So, I mean, that's not to offend anybody. That's just fucking biology, dude. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But again, you go back to what if Bob from the garage? Well, what if Bob from the garage is, and I don't mean this in a negative connotation, what if Bob from the garage is homosexual and his boyfriend Kyle and him want to have a baby? And Kyle makes more money, so it would be easier for Bob to work for the first 6 months and carry the baby and then take 4 or 5 months off and try to get his job back.
Right.
Should Bob be able to, Bob the garage employee, be able to carry a child? I mean, we have C-sections and all of this other technology. It would literally just take, artificial womb inside somebody and a filter to transition the blood flow and the chemicals and the nutrients from food to the baby. We're not far off scientifically. So would Bob from the garage be a good mommy dad?
That's
See what I
a
mean?
that's a
This
hard
gets into a weird topic, but this is where we're headed.
that's a hard question to answer because we don't know exactly how it would affect
And when
a
that
person.
question
You
comes
know,
up, you just look at people and go, "Fuck the world. This is where we're headed. I want to die. Fuck it. I'm leaving."
right?
Bye."
I think I think maybe it's a bad idea because it muddies the waters, and I mean, biology has worked for years. Evolution, I mean, made it that way. So if we're screwing with evolution that much, could we screw up? Could we screw up the human race
That's a better question. If we
by
do
making
that,
all these changes?
are
I
we
mean,
going to make a
are
true
we
non-binary?
right? Are we messing with things we shouldn't mess with?
Oh, but I think it is time to move on.
Okay. How about let's go with well, fuck, everything's been pretty controversial so far, so let's go with controversy.
Controversy. Would it be a viable option to kill 70 to 90% of the planet to make life better for the rest?
That's a pretty sociopathic question.
Thank you. I thought that was the right word, is sociopath, but I took it out of the original question because I wasn't sure.
In all honesty, yes, it would be better off for the planet because there's way too many people on the planet and we're overusing our resources. I know there's a lot of people that like to say, "Oh, that's all just a hoax. There's plenty of resources, blah blah blah." But in reality, the planet is overcrowded. But to genocide 70 to 90% of the planet, I mean, whose decision would that be to make? I mean, I mean, that's pretty sociopathic to yes, it would be it would help the planet, but
Would
also
it?
it would
So
it
here's
would
a
be
thought. Here's a
genocidal.
thought, okay? Think before people, and don't think, okay, I must be a little sociopathic because before I knew about Thanos or any of these other stupid things, long before I got on the internet, once in a while the question in my head hits, there's too many people. We need a global war or a mass destruction to make the world produce. And I'll get to my thought processing on that in a minute. Yes, I may be a little sociopathic. I'm beginning to understand that. Before there was this many humans on the planet, before we spread out and industrialized, it's not like there weren't more creatures on the planet than humans. And we can't justify saying that the Industrial Revolution and the chemicals and stuff that we make in the atmosphere are contributing to a large enough portion of the global warming to say it's just industry or the production of industry that has gotten us to where we are. It could also be due to the number of humans. Well, let's stop and think. Before this, there were this many humans. Weren't there other animals that roamed? Wasn't the world full of insects, bugs, and animals that literally just roamed, created, and ate each other? So, is the planet being full of humans any different than being full of any other mammal? So, the 70 to 90%, yeah, would currently apply to the humans because we are the predominant population. But predominant population is based on what era the planet is in.
True.
Resources are only limited to the point where we can only get so far in the planet to acquire these resources, or we haven't gotten to a point where during different eras of starvation, we've found new ways to create multiple amounts of food, not just increasing by a percentage, but by increasing it by folds. So instead of creating 20% or 30% more food, we create 2 to 3 times more food when we have the need to develop that technology.
Right.
And
Well,
we've done it through time.
genociding the planet, like who do we pick who dies and who lives? I mean, are we going to just keep the best and brightest and kill off the average and below average people so that society is stocked with smarter people?
Would it matter who was even killed? Would it even matter?
I
Would
think
you
it would
have to
matter
select?
quite a bit.
It could be completely random. Let's say we killed the richest 1,000 or the richest 70% of the world. There would still be a richest 70%. It would just take less to acquire that richest. It would be a lower line. If we killed the poorest 70%, there would still be a poor 70%, but that mark would change. It wouldn't matter how you aimed the population. You would just be changing where the marks lie on your readout. That's all it is. And to go into my thought process, it should not be a selection based on any criteria. My thought process was, well, the world is in turmoil. There's a lot of people, and because there's so many people, there's so many different ideas. You have a lot of different people and a lot of different ideas. You create a lot of different conflict. You create a fight amongst them. And when you create a fight amongst people, well, let's look at Chicago. They fight amongst the resources that are there, and they want to be in charge, or they want to have the money, or they want to be the drug cartel, or they want to be whatever it is. They fight amongst it and kill off the others, and call it sociopathic, but maybe something needs to flare up where countries fight against countries and millions of people die, only because that will create a respect for those who are left in the life that they're living. It will create the draw to do better and to not end up in the same place, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying, arbitrarily 70% of the world should die. I'm saying there's a pile of kindling and the sparks are going off. Eventually it's going to light, and there's going to be enough people near that where those who aren't are going to kind of get a picture and realize that things need to change, and it's going to create. And I know that sounds stupid, and I'm realizing I'm a little sociopathic there, but I do think that inevitably, not necessarily that size population, 70 to 90%, but I think inevitably to improve, you need to have a negative start to cause that. And my justification comes from Pearl Harbor.
Right. Well, I mean, it's only a matter of time. The population's so big right now. It's only a matter of time before a disease that, I mean, look at the outbreak of influenza in 1918, and so many people died. It's only a matter of time before some kind of superbug, like some kind of outbreak, kills a large percent of the population. It's bound to happen. I mean, it's happened all through history. We're going to be no different than the rest of history.
You're right. It wouldn't have to be a war. And the quote unquote
it's not a matter of if it's going to happen.
Says,
it's a matter of when it's going to happen. Because it will happen eventually.
Part of me, that's horrible. That's horrible, guys. I'm sociopathic now. I'm realizing who I really am.
Yeah, but it's only a matter of time before some tragedy will thin out the herd. And I mean, this might sound kind of like eugenicist-ish, but I do think that modern medicine is keeping people alive that wouldn't have, in the natural scheme of things, if evolution, you know how evolution works, the strongest, best, and brightest survive. And now everybody survives due to, our civilization has evolved into we take care of everybody no matter what. I'm not saying we should go out and start killing off disabled people and people that are like of a lower IQ, but them people would have died out in a different time because they wouldn't have survived. They have nothing to contribute to society at that time. Now, I mean, I'm not saying they don't contribute, but I'm just saying that more people are alive today that wouldn't have been alive in the past because modern medicine and civilization keeps everybody alive regardless of their strengths or weaknesses.
Yep, we're not throwing the kids with the funny faces and the eyeballs and noses that are wrong off of cliffs because they're deformed anymore.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's either right or wrong. It's a matter of truth. I mean, like people are outliving their usefulness. People live to fucking be 90 to 100 years old. That never happened fucking 1,000 years ago. That's
Well,
why
if
the
it did, it was
population boom is
way more rare, and now it's
right.
becoming very common. It's like, well,
Yeah.
we have the highest number of people over 100 years old, and so at 116 is about to celebrate her birthday.
Right. But them people still need taken care of in some way, and it's putting a financial strain on all of society. I'm not saying we should go kill them off. I'm just saying that modern medicine has made it possible for all these people to live beyond their usefulness.
Obviously, I'm not the only social capable sociopath in the world because we do have movies like Daryl Odell says is so what you're saying is we need a purge. Think about the purge. That's a
Purge.
sociopathic movie. That idea is sociopathic in and of itself. Yeah, just kill everybody. And if I died, it's just part of the plan. No big worry. I'll fight for myself, but if I die, it's just part of what was supposed to happen. Whatever.
Right.
But at the same time, I argue the other side in my head is I don't want to die. How do I stay alive? What do I got to do? I don't want to die. What are we going to talk about next?
Okay. How about school?
Yeah, what could go wrong in school? School classrooms should be sized much like lecture halls.
I disagree. I think that the bigger the classroom, the more impersonal it becomes, and people learn less, and the teachers have less time to spend with people that could use a little extra help. So, no, I disagree with that.
Now, I
Not,
have a
not
dumb question.
sure.
I want to rephrase this because I thought about this as I put the question and how would it come out. I've been to college lecture halls, and the lecture is a timed lecture, and it pumps out all the information as quick as it can. You get down as much as you can, and you try to learn. That's the point of it. And then you take that to a classroom setting, and there's 20 or 30 students, and they spend 45 minutes going over a part of something over and over in different ways so that you understand it. Well, in a classroom, the diversity of the students' education ability is so drastic that the smart kids ignore half the class because they don't need it, and the dumb kids pay attention the whole class and still don't quite get it. Sorry for calling you dumb kids. It's not on purpose. I'm a
Right.
sociopath apparently.
You're,
If you
you're a
put
pragmatist, is
everybody
what you are.
if you put everybody who was learning the same information in front of the same lecture for the same amount of time, and those who needed more help could seek out those teachers who were teaching that class. So you have in a school you have maybe 4 or 5 teachers, so you can divide these classes into classrooms and make smaller groups. So you take those 4 to 5 teachers and you alternate who teaches what lesson on one day so they can prep and have all the information and be ready to do their lesson. They run their lesson in a lecture hall in front of 5 to 6 classrooms worth of students. When done, some of those students will understand the information they just learned. They'll be okay. Other students will need more help. And there's 5 teachers now that can help on an individual basis to fill in the gaps. Would it
All right.
save money? Would it save time? Would it be more efficient?
Uh, no, no, it probably wouldn't be more efficient. I mean, because if it was a lecture, okay, if it was a lecture hall, the people that could grasp what they're learning and get something out of it would learn. But like I said, there would still people be left behind, and so it's going to take extra time and resources to get them up to par with the rest of the classroom.
How do you figure it'll take extra time and resources?
Because if they can't grasp it in the one lecture, that means they're going to have to spend extra time with the teacher, which take extra time. Time takes money because nobody does
Okay.
nothing for free.
Now, you're saying then a setting of 5 settings of 30 students, let's say, learning the same information, regardless of their intellect or ability level, is more efficient than 150 people learning it at the same time. Okay, now understanding how classes work, periods during the day, students move from class to class. If they all sat there and let's say one student only needed that hour and a half lecture, they got all their notes, they understand it, they're doing well, their scores are good, they work really hard. That frees up all that extra time the other teachers were using teaching classes to go, okay, well, we understand that you and you and you need individual help for maybe a half an hour class period. We now have that period to offer you that individual help. We now have extra teachers to be able to spread across and help the students in between, as opposed to having to hire more or create more classrooms or add more
Uh,
space.
that I can agree with. I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
that part I can agree with. Yeah.
So you're actually making more time. You're streamlining it and offering more assistance to those who need it, but you're not forcing the assistance and the extra time on those who don't necessarily need it and can probably move on. Now, I am all for merit based, but at the same time, equal with merit based, there's ability. And not everybody's ability is equal. And understanding
Right.
that some need more time and others don't, if you have a random classroom of 30 students, how do you judge who needs the most help?
Well, the people that don't get it, or I mean, and sometimes that is hard. You're right. That is hard to judge because a lot of people are afraid to ask for help because of they feel it makes them look stupid. But just because you don't grasp something right away doesn't mean you're stupid. Some people learn. Some people pick up subjects faster than they do other subjects. You know what I mean?
Right. And shouldn't you try to find opportunity to give those students that need more help more help? You're stacking these teachers with class after class after class. They're teaching the same thing 8, 9 times a day. Wouldn't it be easier
Now,
to
if
teach
we
it
had, if we
once
had,
and then
yeah,
elaborate for those who need it?
okay, that would work if we did this. If we had the lecture halls, the bigger classrooms, and the teacher passed out like notes ahead of time, so the people that can't keep up, like pass out like I guess you'd call them like worksheets that have
In
the notes,
college,
like
professors and
the
teachers have desk hours
bullet
or
points.
office
Yeah,
hours. And that's when
yeah,
you go find them. But in a school,
right.
their office hours would be during the day. You could kind of go in there whenever you or they were free.
Or
And
like
there
I
would be
said, if
more
the
of them free
teacher would
because their
already
lectures are done.
if the teacher would pass out like worksheets along with the lecture, that way the people that can't keep up with taking notes could follow along because it's already right there for them. It would help them like study guides, I guess you could call them
Right. Now,
study guides. That might help.
obviously, it would take a lot of thinking and it would be a lot of change. But I just feel even if you got 200, 300 students in a hall and taught them all the same amount, maybe 20 or 30% aren't going to need any more help than that for a basic lecture. If it's just like mathematics or social studies or history or anything like that, they're not going to need much more than that, about 20, 30%. Then you're going to have 20 or 30% that need another, hour or so worth of teaching to gather it. And then you're going to need a few that are going to just have to pop in and ask questions because there's something they missed or didn't understand or wanted to question. And you're opening all of that time up because the lecture for that material is done, and you have 5 teachers for that school day able to answer questions for those students, as opposed to focusing evenly on those who may already have it or are waiting for you to continue on. Hold on one sec. Chat, I think I have somebody at the door.
Well, hello there, chat. How are all you guys doing today? Numbskull's going. I'll take a time to plug my channel. This afternoon, I have 2 interviews lined up. One with Chess Piercy. She's a atheist. I do atheist interviews mostly. And at 6 o'clock, I have Frankie from the Geek Room. So if you want to tune into the Unholy Mole and learn a little bit about the learn a little bit about some people, then you can.
I think we can do one more. What do you think?
Sure. How about or creator tips? Let's go with creator tips.
Well, here we have it. Sometimes your work is actually shit, and it's okay. Someone may like it.
That is absolutely true. I'm proud to announce that when I started my channel, I never thought nothing would come of it. Actually, I started my channel just so I could chat, and then I got more involved, and like I had 16 subs. I thought, oh wow, whatever. And now I'm way more involved. I pretty much interview. I do atheist interviews. I also am working on. I finally found a editing program that I can use, so I'm going to start making some videos. But my subscriptions have grown like exponentially. Like I've grown from like 60 subs to 200 in like the last month and a half. So
I made a big growth too over this last several months before I thinned my shows out. Because I try to create something authentic. I try to create something new. And I constantly think my work is shit.
Right.
I constantly think everything I do is crap.
I think mine is too, but so we all think that. I think it's just that inner insecurity. But like I said, I went with the atheist interview angle because it's not really done a whole lot. I mean, and yeah, other people interview atheists, but we all have our own approach to it. So I think it's something different, and that's what YouTube. I mean, because a lot of YouTube is just like the blood sports and just like people making fun of each other, or putting out like whiny crybaby videos. I think that the educational, informative videos are going a lot farther nowadays. I mean, I think people are hungry. A lot of people. Some people still like the bullshit, but there are a lot of people out there that are hungry for knowledge and that do want to learn.
Yeah, and I'm that person. So I always say this phrase, so why not repeat it? You don't know what you don't know. In doing a show, you're only able to do a show as well as what you're doing the show with, your knowledge of, your ability of, your training and whatnot. As your show gets better, whether or not you realize it or you feel like it's improving, it may be improving just on what you're learning. If you don't think your show is a little bit shit, then you're never going to look to fix what you think is shit about it.
Right.
So
If you're so narcissistic that you think, oh, I'm the best, then nothing's ever going to improve because you already think you're great. But if you have that niggling doubt that, oh, I could do much better, then you're never going to strive to improve. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, and at the same time, sometimes you have to realize that you created something that didn't turn out like you wanted, and it just is shit. And maybe you cut a few pieces out of it and post it anyways because you realize that, you know what, this is absolute shit to me, but to somebody else, this may be comedy gold.
Right.
Like going
Well,
to a garage
like
sale.
your
This
channel,
dresser
for
may be
instance,
shit to me, but somebody may need a dresser for $5, and to them it's a
your
brand new dresser.
right, your channel, for instance, okay, is it's original. That is something. I mean, like subs. I mean, people think subs are the most important thing. Like, I don't care if I have 100,000 subs. What I care about is meeting people that I can have intellectually conversations with because I live in a bodunk town that the people are stupid and fucking selfish, and everybody around here is just too wrapped up in their own lives. The internet gives you an outlet to find people that have similar interests to you, and you can learn things from people. That's the beauty of the internet. Your
And I
show's
agree.
original. I try
I
to make my show original. Like, I mean, I want to make it, I do my interviews because I get views from it, I get subs from it, but it's more the fact that I get to interact with people that I would have never met in any other place, and I get to learn about them. That's the most important thing. Is
You know what
like
mine has kind of gone towards. I I can only learn what I go searching for.
right,
Okay? So I desire learning how other people create the thought that they create, how they create their viewpoint on a topic different than mine, how they reach a
right,
different end result in their thought process than I do. And in that,
right,
I want to hear their perspective. And the
right.
best way to
If
do that
if
is
you're not
find a
willing to
way to
learn, then
talk
you might
about
as well
that.
hang it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Um,
Yeah.
I could sit on here and make a show just highlighting and criticizing different people for other things they do. I could make a critique show, and I did videos and stuff on that. And for some people, they can do it because they can find something in it that they key into. I
Right.
key into tell me something I've never heard before. Offer me a viewpoint that I haven't thought of. Offer me a
Right.
perspective or an acknowledgement from something I wasn't considering.
And,
And
and
that's helping me.
yeah, and like I said, your show's original, and like what I try to do on my channel is I invite people on, and I'll invite flat earthers on, and I like civil conversation. If you're not willing to listen to other people's opinions without just bashing them, I'm not saying I don't bash, like I make fun of AIG articles because they're ridiculous, but
How
I'm
dare
not
you?
making
You're
fun of.
just a short little mole on my guest podium. How dare
No, I'm not making fun of the people though. No idea is safe from criticism.
No.
And and like if I when I invite like flat earthers on the show, yeah, I think their ideas are silly, but some of them are very intelligent people. It's hard to find the truly intelligent ones, but there are intelligent ones out there that are willing to concede that they may be wrong about something, and that's the beauty of it. If I'm wrong about something, I'll say I don't know. If I don't know something, I'll say I don't know because I want to learn. And if I act like I know everything, then I'm just a pompous asshole, and no one's going to want to talk to me in the first place.
I've
Plain and simple.
strangely developed the automatic presumption in my head that I know nothing until I start to interact with what the topic is and can figure out what I actually know about something. And in starting that I know nothing, I can always build from that.
Right, right. And learning's the most important thing to me. I mean, and spreading ideas. Even if it's like, tearing apart bad ideas and trying to spread knowledge is very important, and learning new things. And if you're wrong, say you're wrong. If you don't know, say you don't know. The only way you can learn is by listening to other people. And if we can't even listen to the people around us, how can we expect to ever listen to anybody? You know what I mean? You
Oh,
have to
absolutely.
respect other ideas. I think that's the main thing: is
You have to be
respect of
willing
other
to
ideas and give them a chance and listening
don't just respect, be willing to listen
and be
and
civil.
make an attempt to understand. Mole, I jumped on your show once, and it really caught your other guests off guard that the first thing I started doing was defending and building the flat earth defense.
Right. I mean, if a flat earther could ever show me a model, the problem with flat earthers is that they'll never ever show you a model that would that would work with the physics we already know about. Like, they want to throw all science out the window. That's ridiculous. If you could show me a flat Earth model that wouldn't destroy physics, then I'll sit and listen to you. But if you're just gonna fucking throw crazy, stupid, wild ass ideas out that don't jive with physics, then I'm not. I mean, that's just silliness. I'll listen to your ideas, but I'm also going to critique them because they deserve to be critiqued because they're silly ideas.
Well, if he's still here, hello, Death Hadouken! And goodbye, Death Hadouken!
Hadouken!
Uh, Australia isn't the real place where all paid actors. Oh yeah, Australia's fake.
Yeah,
No, it's all
that's
digitally
yeah.
composited and shit. And when you
Not
say that,
not
you
your
lost me.
witness, and all my Australian friends. They're all just shills. They don't really live on the in the southern hemisphere. It doesn't exist.
Now I can kind of go with them to a point. I can see how they can sort of understand a facade. So I want to build into that with them, understanding that they understand certain things, they just see them differently.
Yeah,
And
I would like to understand why they see them differently. I would like them to show evidence that's credible. You
I
can show
start
me
with the
credible
general
evidence.
presumption that most of them have about flat Earth is that, okay, it's about your perspective. You're seeing things from perspective, and the way you see it is it's flat. And I'm okay with building around a flat Earth premise. And
Yeah,
then let's take the wall off and show you how big the Earth gets and show you
right.
size. But then the
I got
math and formula are gone.
yeah, everything's gone. I'm gonna have to roll out soon, but here's my biggest thing with flat earthers is they don't I mean, they're like, well, look around you, the Earth is flat. Well, if a fucking amoeba was on a beach ball, everything would appear flat to them as well. It's
Yeah.
the biggest thing with flat earthers is they don't understand mass. They don't understand how gigantic the Earth really is. So yeah, it appears flat to us everywhere we look. It's flat because I mean, think about our size compared to the size of the Earth, and if they could just get that whole mass thing through their head, they would have a lot better fucking. They would be a lot better off. I just think that they don't understand mass at all. They don't realize how big the Earth really is.
Yeah. Again, going
It,
to a word they use a lot, perspective. With that, we are at the end of the show, anyways.
yes,
Uh,
Vash, it would fill a basketball be flat. To them, it would be totally flat because everywhere they walked, it would appear flat because they can only see so much in a 360-degree circle around them, and that 360-degree circle would appear flat because of the size of the ant and the size of the. Yeah, maybe not a basketball. That's a little too small, but definitely a bigger ball like a beach ball or something like that. An ant
yeah.
on that, they would always appear flat to them. It's the same thing I was saying. To us, we're humans. We can only see what we can see, and of course, it appears flat to us. Now, if we could, I mean, but we understand math, so we understand that there is curvature. It's just not It's not something we can see through our perspective because we can only see what we can see.
And with that, you guys should all check out his channel because there are debates all the time about all sorts of different things. I try to catch as many as I can, but he does more shows than I do. So I will try and provide a link in the description later. Mole, I believe you can throw a link if you can do it quick in there. With that being said, make sure you slap the buttons you want to slap on your way out.
You all have a lovely day.
Thank you for joining us. Let's get some outro music playing if I can figure out where it went.